Hello, everyone, or hello, empty room, as it's kind of just me this morning. Welcome to the first live streamed version of my 2-hour write-ins. I am J.E. Novotny, better known as Jen, and this is my Twitch channel, Stockinette Stories. I am a professional writer and I'm a professional content writer and then an amateur fiction writer. I have written my first novel. It is on its second draft and is currently being read by beta readers. And I am working on my first draft of my second novel. And that's what I'm going to be working on in these writing sessions today. So basically the way this is going to work is for 20-minute writing sessions, we're going to just have some background music, some ambient sound, and we're just going to kind of get some stuff done. I'm not going to look at the chat during that time. I'm going to be writing. So I will answer questions in the interim 10 minutes in between the 20-minute writing sessions. So I hope that during this time you will also, get some work done, do some studying, maybe read a little bit, or get some writing done as well. And when I am, and then during the 10 minutes, please give me your questions, let me know what you want to know more about, and we'll just kind of go from there. So I don't know why I can't see the time on that, but we've got just a couple minutes for this 5-minute intro session, and then we will start, what's the word I'm looking for here? We'll start our writing session. The music is going to be our cue. So, yeah. All right, this is my first time doing this live. I have recorded some, but I have not done an act, which those recordings are available on my YouTube channel, j.e.novotny, which the link is in my about below, along with my Twitter and Instagram. Yeah. So, I hope everyone is having a great day so far. It is morning here. It's not quite 9 a.m. yet. And so I just wanted to get in a really early morning, quick start. Let's do this thing. And I am streaming under the For the Words category because that is where I will be writing today. I've been a member of For the Words for over a year now. It's something I use a lot. It is a writing game, and so you're going to get to see a little bit of that on my screen during this writing session, which is going to start right now. Oh wow, that's got a weird inception-y kind of thing going on. There we go. All right. Hello everyone and welcome back to the chat. So that was the end of our first 20-minute writing session. And now I'm just gonna kind of chat a little bit about what I'm working on. Yeah, pretty much just what I'm working on. So this story is going to be a series of short stories that will be backstory for my second novel. So for the last couple of weeks, I have been working on my second novel, like preparing to write it. And so I've been messing with character and setting and kind of trying to wrap my head around what the plot points are going to be before I dive into writing the actual draft. Now, typically, I am not this much of a planner. My first novel was really haphazard. It just came together in bits and pieces over the course of years. And while that worked, and I think what I ended up with is pretty good, like for a second draft, it's really good. If I do say so myself. But I don't want to really do that again. I don't want it to take years. I want to write something in like maybe a year, or ideally less than that. But I'm trying this new method of planning things out. Like I have a whole notebook that it's a 3-subject college ruled spiral bound notebook that has, the first section is dedicated to setting, the second to plot, or second to character, and the third to plot. And each of these sections are, like, I've kind of filled them out almost in a bullet journal tracker style, but it's kind of just making little worksheets for myself of what I want to put where, and like the different locations that I need to know what they look like and how they're laid out, the people, like what they look like, what their home life was like, all this background stuff. And then the plot section will have like a timeline and different details for scenes that need to be written. And so I've got all of that laid out, and so now I'm just filling it in. And one of the things that I came across while doing that was this idea to write these short backstories for my characters, things that won't be necessary to have read to get the novel, to read the novel, to understand the novel, but it will be something that I can post to my... sorry, I thought I heard somebody outside my house. That was weird. But it'll be something that I can post to my blog, minutesnotseconds.home.blog, as well as something that I could record for additional audiobooks for my Stories and Stockinette Stitches YouTube channel, which, because of the way Google works, the channel name is actually j.e.novotny, which is my pen name. And yeah, so we are, so that's what I'm working on. And today I was working on broadening out some of the ideas for this. It's called, it's one of the primary characters. Her name is Heather. And she is a shapeshifter. I guess it would help if I kind of laid out a little bit of the magical world. This novel is about a knitting group It's about these six members of this knitting group, and they live in a magical fantasy world where there are four types of beings. There's humans, which is self-explanatory, sorcerers, who are the most able to control and use magic like as they wish, the Neminoths, who have very specific magical skills and are humanoid but not quite human, and they have music. They have magic. So that, and then the fourth one is shapeshifters, and shapeshifters are they vary very widely in what they can do, like the different animals that they can be, as well as whether they can shift at will, whether they can shift their entire body or just parts of it, and that sort of thing. And that's actually kind of important to the story, specifically for this character Heather, who is a shapeshifter, but she is unable to shift at will. She's actually going to the university to learn self-transformation so that she can hopefully transform her ears, which she has fox ears. And that's kind of the focus of the short story, is her getting the fox ears and what that kind of means for her life, because it's not a good thing, especially because shifting is kind of a genetic thing. And so with there being no one on her mother or father's side who shifted into a fox, her parentage becomes questionable. So that's the one that I'm working on now, and I'm just going to explain a little bit more about For the Words while we're sitting here for this chat session. Since there's nobody actually in chat and it's just me, I'm just going to keep talking to myself. For the Words is a really cool writing game. Basically, you fight monsters, and I'm not going to do that. Basically, you fight these monsters, and each monster has a different word count requirement and a different time limit. And so you have to write that set number of words in the required amount of time, and that's how you beat the monster. And when you beat them, you get different resources, and the resources are used for quest lines. They get you different items, and you're like able to build like a wardrobe for your character. And now they've added a house function to where you have like a little house setting. Let me actually show you my house while we're at it, because why not? It's very bare right now. I don't have very much stuff. I mostly have things from the Valentine's Day event last month, which lasted more than a day. But yeah, I've got like, this is my little bear house. I've just got like a little picture and some decorations, some little love potions here, a dartboard, and a hammock with a little journal. And that's all that's in my house at the moment. But but it's nice. I like it. It's a fun thing to build, and so it motivates me to write more, which is the total goal of it, is getting more words on the page. And so that's where I've been writing my little short stories in preparation for my novel. Oh my gosh. And we are just about done with our 10-minute chat session. I'm going to be continuing work on the Heather story, I believe. And yeah, so we're just gonna keep on keeping on. and I hope that this next 20 minutes is incredibly productive for you as well. See you in 20. And we are back. All right, so that was the second of our writing sessions. And yeah, I got a little more done on Heather's short story. So if you're just joining, I'm working on the short backstories for the characters of my second novel. They are, and this one is, in the novel, she's a college student, but her backstory is all about her childhood growing up as a shifter with fox ears, and she can't get rid of them, and it's considered to be a pretty inauspicious animal to have. So it's growing up doesn't really go well for her in some respects. And yeah, so that's what I got some work done on today. And so just to talk a little bit more about that book, let me just introduce myself a little bit more. I'm Jen. I am a professional content writer, and I because I have not yet published a book, amateur fiction writer. I've been writing since I was 4, and so now, I do that professionally, and I also do it as a hobby. As writing's really big for me. So that's why I'm doing these writing sessions, to kind of motivate myself and others to get some more words on the page, get some creativity going, that sort of thing. And so let's see, we're coming up on our first hour of this. This is my first actual live stream. I have a couple of recordings of the video of write-ins like this on my YouTube channel, j.e.novotny, which is also my pen name. But yeah, I'm just kind of trying to get some words on the page for the second novel, because I finished my second draft of my first novel earlier this year, and it is currently with beta readers. And so now I don't want to just do nothing while I'm letting that kind of sit for a little while. So I've decided to start on this new project, and the new project is called the Nitty Gritty Group. And basically it's about a knitting group. You may not know, but Stories and Stockinette Stitches. Stockinette Stitches it's a type of stitch in knitting. It's most knitwear that you see, like if you look at it, it has these little V's, and that is stockinette stitch. It's the most common knitting stitch there is. It's pretty recognizable. So Stories and Stockinette Stitches combines my love of knitting and my love of writing. And the Nitty Gritty Group is being imagined as a novel that has accompanying knitting patterns with it. So it'll be something that could be read alone, like even if you're not a knitter, because it's not all about knitting. It's about this group. They're a knitting group, but they also inhabit this magical fantasy world where there are different types of beings, and it's more about the characters than the knitting itself. And really, having the patterns added to it is more just, for me, it's just that extra little thing that I want to do, because I do love designing. Oh my goodness, I love designing my own knitwear. I don't know, it's something I've always done. So if I started knitting when I was like 13, I didn't really have access to knitting patterns. This was before the internet, where there's all like now you can find anything that you want either for free or for, less than $10. But back when I started knitting as a teen, I didn't have all of that. Like, I learned how to knit from an encyclopedia, and with a couple of number 2 pencils and some twine, because my mother insisted that I had to prove I was serious about knitting before she would let me actually buy yarn and needles and the stuff that you need to knit. And so I did, and I started knitting, and I didn't have access to patterns really, so I was just kind of making it up as I went along, and that's just how I've always knit. It's not so different from how I write or have written previously. With this writing project, I'm trying to do more planning I didn't really plan my first novel, and it took me a really, really long time to write. Like, the first draft took like 5 years. The second draft took an additional 2 years, or maybe 3. It's been a long time in the works, and I don't want to do that again. I don't want to have this long gap in between when I write something and when people get to read it. Like, I do think I've produced a pretty good book with my second draft of the novel that took a long time, but I want to see if I can kind of tighten up that process and make this second book take significantly less time. So I've been planning out my setting and my characters, and then I'm kind of starting on the plot. I haven't really gotten that far yet, but that is something that I want to do soon. And yeah, it's just, I'm trying to be more of a planner instead of a pantser, basically. But I do still want to write, like, by discovery for some things. Like, I don't know, you may not have seen, but on the screen when I was writing, I had started out with this idea of these, like, 5 scenes that I needed to write, and like that was going to be the core of the story. And I didn't actually come up with all 5 of them. I just basically came up with the first 2, and then I started writing. And what came out, like, you can see the influence of the prompt, basically, but it's different. It's not the same thing. So yeah, we just have a couple more minutes here, and then we will start our third 20-minute writing session. I hope that in this 20 minutes you will write or read or study or work or do anything that you need a quiet 20 minutes with some background music and ambient sound for. The music is by Eve C. is released under a Creative Commons license. So when I have descriptive information, I will put the attribution there. The ambient sounds, I created that myself from sounds on freesoundslibrary.org. All the sounds are by Spinac, which also attribute. And yeah, but it's just some background piano music and some summer ambient sounds to help us get through the 20-minute sessions. I feel pretty good so far about where we are at this about halfway point. I do plan to stream 2 hours from when I started, so I will end at about 10:45. And I do plan to do these. I will have a schedule up soon for when I'm gonna stream. Right now, I'm not entirely sure, but it will be during the day, probably early like this for the write-ins. Yeah, I work best in the morning. I don't know if anybody else is like that. For me, I can get up and just get started, and then I feel like, oh, I've accomplished things, and so then the rest of the day, like, anything else I do is just gravy. Like, it's just icing on the cake, I guess would be how most people would put it. But as my husband knows, I am obsessed with gravy. I just really like gravy. But yeah, so we are coming up on our third session. There's the music cue, so I am going to turn up the background audio and turn my mic down, and I will see you guys back here in 20 minutes. Happy productivity. All right, we are back from our third 20-minute chat session. Again, I am J.E. Novotny, which you can call me Jen, and this is the Stockinette Stories Twitch channel. This is my first live stream of a virtual write-in. I have done a couple of recorded ones previously, which are on my YouTube channel, j.e.novotny. Which is linked in the about. And yeah, I'm a writer, and I'm currently writing. I've been writing today a short backstory for one of my primary characters for my second novel. The novel is going to be the working title is The Nitty Gritty Group. It's about a knitting group. And this character is one of those members. She is a shifter who has fox ears that she cannot shift out of. So instead of human ears, she has fox ears. And she can change her other features later on, like in the actual novel, but she can't change the ears. They're there. And so this story, her backstory is kind of about her developing those ears and what it meant for her, which basically it meant ostracism, because foxes they're not considered a good animal to transform into. Like, people with fox traits are considered to be sneaky and untrustworthy, and they are just, they're not really accepted very well. And then there's the added issue with this character. Her name is Heather. There's an added issue with Heather that she has neither of her parents transform into a fox, and shifter identities are considered to be kind of hereditary. So if no one in your family has ever shifted into that animal, it kind of brings into question your parentage. And so she's kind of dealing with that and dealing with being ostracized by her classmates throughout school. And just, she doesn't have a great time growing up, and she's going to have some stuff to struggle with in the novel. Is kind of with that perpetual loneliness and not feeling connected to her identity. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. If you want to tell me in the chat what you've been working on, that'd be really cool. Love to hear from my two viewers. I guess, so this is our last 10-minute chat session, because we're going to do one more 20-minute writing session, and then I'm going to close it out with about 5 minutes to just, wrap up chat. So we're going to be done at 10:45 this morning. Actually, it might be a little sooner than that. I don't know. I'm bad at math. 10:40, 10:45, somewhere in there. We will be wrapping it up. The stream for today. I am. It's weird for me to be working on the same project for so long, honestly. Like, I don't usually do that a lot. I'm generally more of a flip from one thing to another, but I'm really trying to get these short stories done. Like, I really want to figure out who these characters are and what made them who they are, so that I can more fully develop the plot points that I've kind of already got going for the second novel. And I think the short stories are just going to help me really solidify that, who these characters are. So that'll help. Today you've just been hearing a lot about Heather, which she is one of my she is one of my favorite characters. Um, she's very she's very soft spoken. She's very sweet. She's very quiet. Um, she's very, very pale with dark freckles, like all over. And she has curly red hair to go with her bright red fox ears. And she's pretty tiny. She's a very small girl. And I kind of picture her as being a little androgynous. Like, she's not super girly, but she's not really masculine either. She falls somewhere kind of in between. Um, her curls, like as in the novel, when she gets older, she keeps them short. Um, so just like, I, yeah, I don't know. She's fun. She's really nice. I think she's going to be a good, like, bonding cement for the other characters. Like, she's going to be that character that is kind of helps to smooth over problems and help people come to understand each other a little better. So, yeah, that is Heather. Some of my other characters, I for this last writing session, I might actually go ahead and switch to which story I'm working on, just because I've kind of gotten started with one other character, and that's my sort of main primary character. Her name is Ginger. She was the first character that really kind of sparked this whole thing. And so I've been working on her story, and hers is a little more about a guy. I mean, it's kind of about her family, but it's also about this guy, because it's kind of her breakup with this dude is a big thing in the novel, even though it's been like a couple of years since it happened by the time the novel rolls around. Um, it's just one of those events in life that just leaves a heavy mark, basically. And so that's what her story is about, and I might work on that one. And then I've also created a document, but not actually started on, a short story for a character named Sunshine. And Sunshine is Ginger's cousin. They grew up together like siblings because they're about the same age. And they were both raised by Ginger's aunt, Sunshine's mother. So she's a big part of this. There's a lot of tension between the two of them. Like they were really close, but they also had jealousy of each other and just like all these complicated sibling emotions, even though they were cousins, but they're essentially siblings. Everything but genetics, essentially. And they do share some of the same DNA because they are blood relatives. So I might work on Sunshine's story. She's a bit of a free spirit, definitely. Like, if this was set in our Earth, she would be considered a hippie. Yeah, she's just she's a little out there. But she's very loyal to family. She's not very responsible. And I think part of her story arc is going to be her learning some responsibility as she goes along. But I don't really know what her short story is going to be yet. I don't know what pivotal moment or pivotal thing is going to be the focus of hers. So we'll see. And then I have 3 other characters as well, whose stories I need to work on. But I think today I'm going to limit it to either Heather, Ginger, or Sunshine. So I've been working on Heather all day or all morning, and I think I want to work on her some more, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how I'm feeling. There is my music cue for the next the last 20-minute writing session. So I am going to mute my mic again, and I will see you all for a brief wrap up in about 20 minutes. So happy productivity. All right, hello everyone. We are back from our our fourth and final 20-minute writing session. I'm just gonna chat for a few minutes here, and if you have any questions for me or anything that you would like to add, that'd be great. So in this last session, I worked some more on the Heather story, and then I also worked a little bit on Sunshine story. Sunshine is the cousin of Ginger, who organizes the knitting group in my second novel, the Nitty Gritty Group. And I'm working on the backstories for the 6 primary characters, and I've got Heather's story mostly down at this point. It's a lot of ostracism and bullying and being alone and struggling with her identity over something that has to do with her physical appearance. And yeah, so it's just, I think today has been really productive for me. I hope it has been productive for you as well. And I hope that you will join me again for a future write-in. I am not 100% sure when the next one will be. It definitely next Friday morning, same time as this, at between 8:30 and 9. We'll say 9. We'll say 9 o'clock on next Friday. I will definitely be back. I may stream before then, but I will most definitely be around on Friday for a writing session if anybody wants to join me for that. I will be continuing working on the Nitty Gritty group and getting the backstories for people done and all that good stuff. And yeah, so I hope that you will join me. My throat is scratchy. This has been a long 2 hours. This is my first live stream, so it's a little different for me. And I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you will come back. And I mean, I feel like it has helped me. I hope it has helped you. And yeah, with that, I'm just gonna go ahead and close this out. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a good 2 hours. Yeah. So happy productivity, and I will see you next week.